And we welcome to the program Erica Griffin Hall with Tharp Funeral Home and Crematory. Hi, Erica.
Hi, good morning. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Hope you are too.
Good morning.
Yes.
It's really good to see you.
Yes, you too.
And you've been with us on Best of the Berg, but this is your first time on the Morningline.
Yes,
And
I'm much sleepier than the last time I saw you guys.
You know what? You don't look it. You look nice
good.
and refreshed, like you've had a good night's sleep. So, but just a little bit of background on you and how you happen to be here, sitting here representing Tharp Funeral Home and Crematory.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually got started with Tharp Funeral Home a long time ago. My uncle, who I'm really close with, he has worked for Tharp Funeral Home for most of his career as a funeral director. And just growing up and knowing that he did this incredibly like a grown-up job, right? And in my little kid mind, just the idea that, wow, you take care of people when they pass away, it just seemed very heroic, not to sound too cheesy, but, as a kid, that just seemed like such a unimaginable task to take care of people when they've passed and then their family members when they come in and they're sad and they're trying to do this really difficult thing, plan a way to honor this person's life that's now ended. So it just seemed incredibly heavy that he was able to take that on for a family alongside a family. And I knew that I wanted to learn more about it. And then as I got older and understood more of what that entailed and went through loss experiences myself, it just really emphasized what important work it was. And especially as a young person, when you're just learning how to be a part of the workforce in the world in general, to start pursuing a path that has so much fulfillment and means so much to so many people, there's a little bit of pressure there, but it also is something that will get you out of bed in the morning, especially if you're like me and maybe don't like getting out of bed right away. You need a little encouragement. And being there for other people, I think, is one of the biggest things that drew me in to make it just something that is meaningful every day. And so, yeah, he definitely showed me that. And that's really what spurred me on. So I worked there when I was in college and just kind of learned the ways of, serving families and all that entailed, and then got my license a handful of years ago. And I've been on the pre-planning side of it rather than the at-need side since I got licensed a few years ago. So
we're going to talk about that, the preneed, because you're the director of the pre-need services, and we'll talk about that. But Tharp is family owned. You were just talking about your uncle, and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 3 owners. Chris Tharp is the majority owner, and then his partner is Merle Thornhill, and actually Debbie Griffin, my mom. So very, very much a family-oriented workplace with my mom and my uncle there. And I always tell clients, don't worry. If you ever have any feedback to share, you can call my mom / business manager and part owner of the business, and she'll set everything straight. So you've got an extra level of accountability there. But yeah, we all collectively have had a lot of years working together, and Chris and Merle are both third-generation funeral home directors and owners, and they bring so much knowledge to the table and are also obviously very much invested and embedded in our community, which is, I think, a really, really big deal when it comes to serving families, because it creates a workplace where funeral directors, we go in to meet with the family. We don't know what situation we're walking into and emotionally where these people will be on that day. We're just going to try to meet them where they're at as best we can. And they might have questions and requests, and we want to try to, give them what they need as much as possible. And knowing no matter what, we can go to our owners and managers and the answer won't be something like, well, that's against policy or, anything like that. The answer is going to be, well, let's figure that out. It creates a culture where we feel so much more free to find ways to serve people in any way possible and whatever they've requested. And I think that's needed for a funeral director to have that servant's heart and perspective. And we want to do a good job for many reasons, but we also have, again, that investment in the community. Our families go to the same churches and schools and grocery stores. We're not people, doing the bidding of decision makers that live a great distance away and don't necessarily know or care about people in Lynchburg and Bedford and Amherst. So I think that makes a huge difference.
We're speaking with Erica Griffin Hall, and you're the pre-need director with Tharp Funeral Home and Crematory. So talk about pre-need and what that involves when you're talking to a family.
Sure. So a lot of times when I meet with families, they are coming in and primarily they're planning for themselves. I would say more and more I'm seeing people come in who are planning for their parents or loved ones in their family, and they're doing that planning on their behalf. But a lot of times people come in and they're planning for themselves as like a married couple a lot of times. And a lot of their questions are around financing options. That's something that people just don't know a whole lot about, that you can prepay for your arrangements. And by doing that, that actually locks in the costs of today, and that freezes in time, so to speak. So you could prepay for something today, and then, years and years go by before you pass away, and then your family would need to, have those services. And whatever that cost is in the future at that time, that has no bearing on the contract that you designed with your pre-arrangement funeral director. So that's something that usually I have to cover with a family just because they're not familiar whatsoever with that. So I always want to make sure that I answer all those questions thoroughly, because that's information that you need in order to make an educated decision about what would work for you. So we cover all sorts of financing questions, and then also going over the details of what makes you and what that service might look like. We had a few months ago a person that was one of those jack of all trades type guys, and I think we had to set up 2 separate tables with memorabilia to fit just little odds and ends from all of his travels and different hobbies, whether it be, I think, scuba diving and rock climbing. It was just a plethora of stuff, but that's what made it really cool. It just really showing who he was, and those are little details that I like to go over with families to make sure are incorporated.
When should people be thinking about that pre-need meeting?
I think the minute you have a question that just pops into your head about it, give us a call. Or any funeral home that you feel comfortable with, use those funeral directors as resources. We went to school and we've served many families. We have all this knowledge sitting in our head, and at times families don't necessarily have questions until that time of need. And that's sometimes not a great moment to be flooded with information and then have to make a lot of decisions. The minute you think about it and are, comfortable with calling us, we will help you figure out what questions you do have if you're even starting from a place where you don't know what to ask, as well as doing a little bit of research. And that's something that a lot of times my job entails. I'll meet with families or even have seminars at churches and things like that, and just hand out some resources and get the conversation started, and then hopefully walk alongside them as they start determining more details. And sometimes that happens quickly, and sometimes that takes a while. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. But we also have resources on our website that hopefully are helpful. So give that a try as well, and see if that kind of prompts you to figure out what's important to you and your family.
It's a great way to show love for your family when you make your arrangements in advance, so that when the time comes, they don't have that added stress.
Yeah, absolutely. I have yet to serve a family that comes in and their loved one has passed away, and I let them know, oh, by the way, in case you weren't aware, your family member did pre-plan everything, they prepaid, everything's taken care of, and their response is anything but a sigh of relief. Never has a family reacted with like, oh, darn it, I really wanted to pay for all of that out of pocket all at once, and I wanted to make all these decisions and then have to hear about other people's opinions about my decisions regarding the funeral. That doesn't happen. I will be honest with you. If it ever happens, I will come back and we'll have a part 2 and I will update you. But so far, in my experience and my uncle's, has not occurred. So
be such a relief for the family.
Yes.
We're speaking with Erica Griffin Hall, pre-need director with Tharp Funeral Home and Crematory. And what's the best way for folks to get started with all this?
I think visiting our website is a really casual way to go about it. If maybe you're not ready to pick up the phone and call the funeral home, of course, if you would like to, we are available. We'd be happy to chat with you. But there are resources on our website that you can kind of click through, some articles that help address things such as what should an obituary include, what kind of information is going to be in that document versus maybe included in other documents like a memorial folder. So things like that are all on our website. And then there's also a way to submit information to our essentially funeral directors. And a lot of the times if it's pre-arrangement information, it'll come straight to me that I can start documenting if you want to just start submitting information online, and I can build out a file for you, and then we can interact that way if that's easier. So definitely check that out.
So can you have anything you want in your obituary?
So something people don't realize is us funeral directing students, we have to write our own obituary as a part of one of our classes in school. So I've already written a draft, which the hardest part was deciding how old I was going to be.
No kidding.
Right? It's the very first sentence, Erica Griffin Hall. And I wasn't married yet. I was still just engaged. And I was like, well, I'm throwing the Hall on there. Like, come on. Like, it's going to be there. Erica Hall 99,
right.
is how I kicked it off. But then I'm 33 and this is a handful of years ago. And I was thinking, well, yeah, I've got a lot more life to live. What do I want it to say? So, and you're allowed to get creative. So I, put all these beautiful like accolades and travels. And I had, 17 grandchildren, I got pretty creative. So let's see if I live up to that. I don't know.
Well, think every 2 or 3 years we get a news story about someone who's decided that they're going to have some fun with their obituary. And, they're making fun of themselves or they're taking a shot at some sports team or, whatever it might be. And I guess you can't really say, well, no, you can't have that in your obituary. I guess it's pretty much what you want.
Oh, you're exactly right. There's even obituaries out there that were clearly not written by or informed by the person. They maybe wouldn't have wanted some of that information in the obituary. You can tell maybe one of their surviving loved ones who felt a little scorned got a hold of the pen and put some stuff in there. So yeah, as funeral directors, we really can't censor any of that. But again, because of, everyone living very cool and different lives, you do want that creative license of, what do I want it to say? It doesn't have to be formulaic by any means. Or I've had some clients come in and say, I was here, now I'm gone. I'll miss you guys, but not really because I'll be in heaven. You'll miss me, just kind of really short and sweet to the point. So those kind of crack me up because it's still very true and still like, there's some love in there, but it's also, it makes you just.
I got other things to do here. Let's go.
Exactly. So I don't think I've ever read a bad one. I'll put it that way. I love seeing what people try to say about their lives because gosh, what an undertaking that is. No pun intended. So that really was on accident.
You made a little pun there. That was funny. Erica.
And the website is tharpfuneralhome.com.
Yes, sir.
Tharpfuneralhome.com. Erica Griffin Hall, thanks so much for being with us on the Morning Line.
Yes, thanks for having me. Have a great day, guys.
You too.